Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslach talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video, I want to talk to you about what business accelerators do. So if you don't know me, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I want to pay the favor forward and help you out. So first of all, it's the summer of 2020. Working from home, my kids are at home, so if you hear noises in the background, it's just the reality of it at this moment. Actually, just a few moments ago, I had to get my dog out of the pool because he jumped in the pool and couldn't get out. So craziness is ensuing. All right, so what can business accelerators do? And do business accelerators or incubators actually work, right? So what we're looking at here, and I encourage you to go look at Professor Christopher Bingham's. He's at UNC Chapel Hill at the moment. I don't know if he'll be there forever, but he's there. You can check it out. I put a link there. And he's got some really cool work of looking at business accelerators, sort of the startup business accelerators. And the evidence suggests, based on his research, is that they work pretty well in terms of what they're doing. So what is a business accelerator? It's where you get, or I'm really just focusing on startup accelerators, where a group of companies get together, small companies that are usually invited. They have some sort of invitational thing where they create a program where it's kind of like it's kind of like just business school, really, but you're actually creating something and starting something and growing that particular thing, and you have feedback based on other people around you. And that's the critical thing that I want to point out in terms of whether these things actually work. It's really an important thing to have this sort of learning experience in terms of having people to interact with, where young entrepreneurs, young or old entrepreneurs, but people that are starting something for the first time, or whether it is at a subsequent time, but they have a new business and they're trying to create this thing and they're getting feedback from other people in terms of how to actually build this thing. And it's really this learning mechanism that is pushing this thing forward. And that's kind of what the evidence is suggesting, or his research is suggesting, is that it's really a learning sort of experience that is pushing this thing forward. Now, I would like to point out, so what's, business accelerator is kind of different than a sort of incubator, where, from what I understand, so an incubator is much more, you just get people together and they kind of work together in a sort of a co-working experience, location. And an accelerator is really about this kind of learning experience. And that's where it's really important in terms of where a lot of this is coming from. Now, not all accelerators are going to be just as good as other ones, right? So that's just like everything in life. In terms of performance, some things are better than others, and that's just kind of like the natural, it's called heterogeneity, variance in terms of what actually happens between different things of these accelerators, right? So it's just like going to business school or going to higher education. Some schools are better than others in terms of the experience that you're going to get, and you want to look at that. And if you were going to look at these business accelerators in terms of going and developing a small business, or rapidly growing business, whatever it is that you're thinking about, I would highly recommend that you look for one of these that has a reputation, and look for whether they're actually consistently driving value for the people that are participating in that particular accelerator. So that's the key thing to think about, is the whole experience that you're going to get. It's like higher education or just education in general. It really matters in terms of what's going to happen in terms of your educational outcomes of the thing that you're actually doing, right? So he did some really cool, I think there were quasi-experiments with some of these things to show that there is some pretty strong evidence that they do matter in terms of what is going on in those accelerators in terms of driving growth going forward. So you really want to think about that in terms of looking for the institutions, or looking for the accelerators that really are accelerating the different businesses that are part of that. And you probably can know all the ones that I'm not going to name them off, but you probably know all the ones that are actually going to be driving tremendous amount of value, right? So how do you know whether they're generating value? Well, it's really difficult to get into. That's kind of a good sign, right? So it's like a large lineup at a restaurant, right? So probably the longer the line, it's kind of a good heuristic that we can use. The longer the lineup, probably the better the particular restaurant is, or the more number of cars there are outside, probably the better the restaurant is. So you probably want to use that basic idea in terms of what you're looking at. So the more difficult it is to get into, probably it's a better place to actually go in terms of driving value. Because really what you're looking for is a situation where you're just going to get your butt kicked every single day, and to the end that you actually have, you've actually developed and grown something, and that butt kicking in a nice way is what's going to actually accelerate your business and accelerate what you're doing. So highly would suggest looking into that if you're starting something for the first time and you're just unsure what to do. There's so much that you can learn by doing this, rather than, first of all, business school education, it's amazing. You do learn a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things that you don't learn at the same time that you can only learn by doing a particular thing. So if you have that combination, right, if you go to business school, and then you do an accelerator, well, that's going to be even better, right? Because you get a bigger picture of what's going on. Or you do, the accelerator first and go to business school. It doesn't matter, but you're going to learn. So that's what you're looking for, is these experiences in life where you can learn and push and grow and stretch yourself in terms of developing, as not only developing your business, your organization that you're trying to develop, but as a human being, right? So a large component of why some businesses grow and develop, it's a lot of it has to do with what the leaders are like, and what they are, how they are as human beings, in terms of how developed they are, in terms of what they're actually dealing with inside, right? So all that kind of psychological, sociological kind of stuff matters in terms of what happens to the organization and how you process things. So those things, developing inside and developing how you interact with people, is really incredibly important for growing a business if you want to take it to the next level going forward. And you'll probably learn about some of those things if you go to business school, or if you go to one of these accelerators as well. You'll learn about yourself. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.